New video coming in overnight as air raid sirens sound in northern Israel. An interceptor caught on camera flying in the sky, trying to intercept an incoming Iranian missile. Strikes are still happening across the region now, more than 1 week into this war. Meantime, celebrations breaking out in the streets of Iran as a new supreme leader is chosen. He is the son of the former supreme leader that was killed in a series of airstrikes in Tehran on February 28th. Now, the big question is, what will this mean for the future of Iran and the war? 7 News is on your side with team coverage. National correspondent Christine Frizzell is here with concerns about more countries getting involved. And 7 News' Felicia Ashley is covering the work to evacuate Americans stranded in the Middle East. But let's start right now with John Rogers for more on Iran's new supreme leader and what this means going forward.
Adriana, good morning. This is Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the late supreme leader. He was confirmed yesterday as the new successor, and all across Iran, celebrations were held after the announcement. He's never held a government position before, and yet he's now at the heart of Iran's theocracy, is the commander-in-chief, and will have final say over all matters of state. Experts say this suggests an effort to turn the Islamic Republic into a dynasty. Hopes for a more democratic future for Iran may be dashed, as this election seems to double down on continuing Ali Khamenei's legacy and policies. President Trump has said it would be unacceptable if the former supreme leader's son took his place. So we'll be watching to see how Trump plans to formally respond to this new appointment.
We expect to learn soon the identity of the 7th U.S. soldier killed in this war with Iran. U.S. Central Command says the service member died in Saudi Arabia from injuries received during Iran's initial attacks across the Middle East. The announcement comes just 1 day after the dignified transfer of the remains of the 6 other troops killed in the first days of the war. All 6 soldiers were assigned with the 103rd Sustainment Command, an Army Reserve unit out of Iowa. President Trump and several other top U.S. officials were there to pay their respects.
As the conflict overseas continues, there are thousands of Americans trying to get back to the U.S. We've seen more arriving at Dulles Airport this morning, and we're hearing from some of those who have been lucky enough to make it back. Let's go straight out live to 7 News reporter Felicia Ashley at Dulles. Felicia, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, just moments ago, we had a chance to speak with a mom who just landed with her 2 young babies. They were in Bahrain, and so they just made it out. They had plans to leave early, but they couldn't because of the drone strikes. And we were here today as other families came out those doors. They escaped the war-torn area in the Middle East today. Many of them part of the Navy bases that were out there, as well as State Department families that were out there. And they say that they are just thankful to be back home, and they say it was like nothing else to see the American flag after what they endured overseas. Now, people are escaping scenes like this right now, even in Israel. Sunday, first responders were picking up missile shrapnel in the street. We spoke to one woman yesterday when she arrived here at Dulles.
We actually were stuck in Israel, 3 of us together in an apartment alone. It was extremely scary. There were bombs flying everywhere.
As of Sunday, the State Department is reporting that over 32,000 Americans have returned home from the Middle East since the conflict began. Now, coming up live in the next half hour, I'm going to tell you about some of the organizers, some of the teams that are helping to get American families out of the Middle East during what they are enduring over there. You heard from one woman who said that they were stuck in an apartment. So I have more details on that up next. But for now, reporting live from Dulles International Airport, Felicia Ashley, 7 News.
Well, the work to evacuate Americans from the Middle East comes as the war is growing complicated for several countries there in the region. As national correspondent Christine Frizzell reports, they may soon feel the need to get involved.
Across the Islamic Republic of Iran, the attacks continue, with oil facilities a chief target. The air in some parts of the country almost unbreathable.
It's an absolutely apocalyptic scene here.
Leaders in Iran calling for unity, just announcing Mojtaba Khamenei will be the next supreme leader after the attacks that started the war killed his father. President Trump not ruling out a future phase of the war, including U.S. troops on the ground.
Could there be? Possibly, for very good reason. Have to be very good reason. And I would say if we ever did that, they would be so decimated that they wouldn't be able to fight at the ground level.
Many surrounding Arab countries now at a complicated crossroads, with attacks from Iran threatening them on a daily basis. Saudi Arabia's defense ministry releasing this video, it says, shows them intercepting a number of drones launched toward the kingdom.
Our missiles cannot reach the U.S. soil. What we can do is to attack American bases and American installations around us, which are unfortunately in the soils of our neighborly countries.
The United Arab Emirates in a, quote, state of defense after at least 1,500 missiles and drones have been sent to the country from Iran. And while most were intercepted, some were not. Iran's president at first issuing an apology and vowing to stop attacking its neighbors.
We do not intend to attack neighboring countries. As I have repeatedly said, they are our brothers.
But by all indications, that has not happened, with some U.S. leaders urging them instead to get involved in the fight.
Are you telling us you want the United Arab Emirates and the Saudis to lash out and strike Iran right now?
I want them to get in the fight. We sell them weapons. Iran is striking their country. They have good capability.
The Arab League just wrapped up an emergency session it convened in which top officials called Iranian attacks against its members, quote, reckless. They're urging Tehran to reverse course. Meanwhile, many Western experts are predicting some of those Arab nations may take the historic step of aligning with the United States and Israel. I'm Christine Frizzau reporting.
Well, people living in the DMV who fled Iran decades ago, they're closely watching what happens next in their homeland. Yesterday, members of the local Iranian community dedicated a memorial bench at the Sligo-Bennington Neighborhood Park in Silver Spring to Iran's many political prisoners. Among those who came out for the event, a former political prisoner who was in prison for 5 years.
He was one of the worst murderers, and I'm really glad that he's gone. We want to see an end to Islamic Republic. We want it to be finished, gone, because they are the root cause of all these conflicts. On the other hand, we are worried about the safety of our families.
Now, we also talked to a former advisor for Middle East policy to the Secretary of Defense under both the Trump and Biden administrations. He says this military operation could go beyond the initial estimate of 4 to 5 weeks, as questions remain over whether the U.S. will put troops on the ground.
Without a ground game or a component on the ground that is there to actually purge the regime, you can defang the Iranian military and Iran's military capabilities, but you might not be able to steer the events.
Now, he says the worst-case scenario for the U.S. at this point is to pull out of the conflict prematurely and leave the regime in control. Stay with 7 News as we continue to follow the latest developments out of the Middle East. We'll have much more later this hour, and you can find all of our coverage up right now on our homepage. And remember, you can always get breaking news alerts sent straight to your phone by downloading our free 7 News app. Just make sure you have those push notifications turned on.
A live look from Tel Aviv overnight. Israel said it has been working to intercept more missiles launched from Iran. This is strikes are still happening all across the Middle East. So here's some of the top headlines that we are following this morning. First, the U.S. is ordering the evacuation of non-emergency government employees from Saudi Arabia. This comes after the U.S. embassy in that country was targeted by an Iranian drone strike. Also, the near total internet blackout in Iran is now in its 10th day, meaning it's growing increasingly difficult for the 90 million people that call Iran home to get information. Also developing, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth told 60 Minutes last night that he expects Iran to surrender and that the mission is on track. He also said, quote, "This is only the beginning." And we expect to learn soon the identity of the 7th U.S. soldier killed in the war with Iran. U.S. Central Command says the service member died after being seriously injured in an Iranian attack in Saudi Arabia.
So more people are arriving at Dulles International Airport this morning from the Middle East. 7 News is speaking with those working to help people evacuate as the war with Iran rages on. Let's go straight out live to 7 News reporter Felicia Ashley live at Dulles. And we've been seeing some folks come in just within the past couple of hours, Felicia.
Yes, that's right. I had a chance to actually speak with a mom because some people were coming in from Saudi Arabia and Iran, as you just mentioned earlier, about the emergency evacuations of non-essential employees and families over there. And she had 2 young babies with her. She said they were supposed to evacuate sooner, but they couldn't because of the drone strikes. And she just said being able to land and see the American flag, that it was an emotional moment for her. And she just described some of the terror that she saw overseas. But we also spoke with families that landed yesterday, some that were brought over by some other organizations that were helping them evacuate. And that evacuation was carried out by the Gray Bull Rescue. It's a veteran-led nonprofit partnering with the U.S. Department of State. It evacuates Americans and allies from war zones, disaster areas, and regions where government or traditional aid can't get to. We spoke virtually to Brian Stern, the CEO of Gray Bull. He was in Jordan when we last spoke to him.
All these operations have a unique kind of flavor to them. And this one had a lot of kids on it, teenagers, 14 years old, 15 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old. They're kids. If you're an American citizen and your passport looks like my passport, you go to our website, grablerescue.org, and you need help, you push the request evacuation button, and we come get you. That's it.
In the past week, the organization has brought home more than 300 people. Now, I want to give you a look at the International Arrivals Board because this still shows you where we stand in the midst of the situation right now. You can still see flights in the Middle East still getting canceled. You can see the one flight up there that is canceled is the flight in Dubai. Now, as we were here, we met families that were connecting in other areas trying to get here. Some family members mentioned some family members had to stay back, and they're still in a panic waiting to find out when they can come home. Now, you just heard Brian speak about helping Americans get back to the States, get back here safely. If you are an American that needs help getting back or know someone who is, we'll have information attached to this web story on WJLA.com. But for now, reporting live from Dulles, Felicia Ashley, 7 News.
President Trump says he believes Iran is behind the bombing of a girls' school that killed as many as 175 people.
We think it was done by Iran. Because they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
This is the first time anyone from the Trump administration has publicly assigned blame for that bombing. War Secretary Pete Hegseth, who was standing right behind the president there, said an investigation is still ongoing, but Iran is the only side that targets civilians. Reports from multiple outlets in recent days said U.S. military investigators believe the school was hit by the U.S. while targeting a nearby Iranian naval base.
All right, China is now chiming in on the war with Iran. The country's foreign minister is calling for diplomacy. China has offered to mediate between the two sides. Such talks will likely be partial, as the Chinese government is more closely aligned with Iran than it is with the U.S. or Israel. Now, that raised questions over the weekend of whether President Trump will still meet Chinese leader Xi Jinping in a few weeks. China's foreign minister did not confirm the dates, but says the Chinese government is open to dialogue.
Meantime, President Trump is saying he does not need the British military support when it comes to Iran, saying that the war is already won. Now, this comes after Britain's defense ministry announced it was preparing an aircraft carrier for possible deployment to the Middle East. Trump has repeatedly criticized British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, suggesting last week that he ruined national relations when he blocked the U.S. from using British bases to attack Iran. Of course, stay with 7 News as we continue to follow the latest developments out of the Middle East. We'll have much more all day on 7 News. You can also find all of our coverage up right now on our homepage.